Always felt I was missing something important in my life. I always felt I was loose, just in nowhere. And I needed that belonging. It kept nagging me.
I began to really be concerned about the children and how they're going to be raised, and the problems in an American society. And so I started seeking out really to see what's available, what's there.
When I came to this land and I got married and I had my daughter, I was concerned. I had nightmares. I didn't know what kind of religion my daughter is going to have when she grows up, if she's going to subscribe to Islam or not, who's going to nourish Islam in her system, who's going to help us doing this. And I'm so thankful to Almighty God that we have the Islamic Center and the Islamic centers throughout the United States. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا
In 1939, we started a group called it the Islamic Society of Los Angeles, and I was made the president, first president.
The very first formal start of the center was in the year 1953. I think it was under the name of the Islamic Community in America at Los Angeles. I think that was the name that it was registered on. Then in the year 1967, the registration and the name were changed to the Islamic Foundation of Southern California. And later in the year 1975, it was changed to the Islamic Center of Southern California, which is what we are having now, and hopefully will continue this way for several decades to come. Regarding the location, it was first in a very small place on Fountain Avenue in Hollywood. Then later on, with the change of the name, it went to City Terrace, then to somewhere close to the downtown in St. Andrews Place, and in 1977, the major or the main move to the current location happened.
The real center, formatively, was City Terrace. That was when a group of people get together, a few doctors, including Dr. Al-Farra, Hadi Salim, Muhammad Al-Sabri, Saudi Fallah, and other people, I guess Al-Hindi, and Father and Al-Saudi, Orhan Akbarut and Ruth, and those people, they bought that place on Eastern Avenue, not on City Terrace.
The location was very, very bad. Of course, maybe that's, what we can afford that time,
We started out by saying the first thing we need is an imam. And we needed somebody who really has the outlook of an American culture, but the depth of an Al-Azhar education. And it just so happened Dr. al-Bailey fit exactly.
That man had the ability to capture your soul and your thought and every part of you. It's just something about him. When he talked about Islam, you felt it.
Dr. al-Bailey used to be on television 2-3 times a month, spreading the word of Islam, but more than that, communicating to the Western world just what Islam is, so that we can better accommodate each other. And it all started in that little house.
City Terrace was very undesirable. The location was very undesirable. And then when Dr. al-Bailey came in our community, we seemed to gather more people because he was such a dynamic speaker. He gathered more people around him. And they made every effort they could to find another location within the funds that they could to get. And they found this house on St. Andrews, which was had been a church, a Japanese church.
Somehow we met the Japanese Muslim that time, and he was also in real estate. So that guy really helped us because he speaks Japanese, he's a Muslim, and he was so happy that, you know, we convert this Japanese chapel to the Muslim place as a mosque. We tried to borrow money from the bank, and the bank didn't loan us because it's a non-profit religious organization, so nobody really responsible. So we had the attorney. I used to work with him, so I talked to him that I said, we like to buy this place, but we don't have money. We have money coming from other place, but what we do, we deed it to your name. You know, you purchase for us, and you know, when we give your money, you know, just we need the down payment, 2,000-3,000, you know, 5,000 I believe it was. So we give your money, we give you $500 more. So we bought it. His name is Mr. Wilson. He's still alive. He's 85 years old and he's still practicing law.
When we first came to the United States, it was 1970, and we went to the old Islamic Center in St. Andrews, and the most impressive thing I met was the people whom I met at entering the Islamic Center, and the way they have greeted us and the way they have welcomed us. This made us feel the sense of belonging, that we are going to meet Muslims who are caring to extend their love and welcoming to a new family. And that was the most impressive thing to me.
You'd have the chairs there for the lecture. Then after the lecture, everyone would come up and collect the chairs, put the chairs away, and then roll the carpet, then you'd pray in the same place. I mean, you know, we didn't have the luxury like we have now at the Islamic Center in Vermont to have a lecture hall and a prayer area. It was all in one area.
We had only 2 classrooms, one Dr. Bailey's office and one small office. So we were using 3 classrooms, and the people would come, and it would, that hall, the big hall, would not even take more than 60 to 70 people.
One day I was driving down Vermont, even though I've driven there hundreds of times, I just never noticed this building, but I happened to look, and here was a building that looked like a mosque. It had arches, it had a nice entrance right on the main street, and plenty of parking. And I said, that would be ideal. So I called the broker. He said, anything is for sale for the right price. So I said, what is the right price? He said, $1.5 million. I started thinking back to the 5,000 in the account. So I said, okay, we want to make an offer. I went and spoke to the board. And initially the board was hesitant for 2 reasons. Number one, we don't have the money. And I guess the second reason becomes unimportant. But the second reason was they thought it was too big for us.
There was a divided opinion, because at that time, I think there was some promise from some government to give donations to build an $800,000 mosque in Los Angeles. But of course, the argument was that if this materializes, it will take such a time that one generation would drop. There was growth in numbers, and St. Andrews couldn't hold the community anymore. And if you waited several years until the other one was built, then you would miss educating one generation of Muslim children. And I'm glad that at that meeting, the voting was in favor of buying the present place. And I think the community never regretted that decision.
So we came, we was quite impressed, of course. We thought, my God, how can we ever fill this building? It's such a huge building, you see. And initially, of course, the membership followed, and it was our central mosque, basically, because it was the only one, you see.
We put our souls into this place, and it is true. When we first moved into this building, they had to get all the carpeting off the floor because there were millions of staples. And we had one weekend to get the carpeting off. Our youth group came over here and they discovered that the carpeting had been glued down, and so they scraped all that carpeting off. And I do not jest when I tell you every one of them had blood on their, and calluses on their hands from scraping that off. But 15 of them did it. They cleaned the floor and the new carpeting was put in. This place is part of their lives. It has to be. If you put your blood, literally your blood into it, it is your life.
We had a deep feeling inside that God subhanahu wa ta'ala was one way or another guiding the direction, and as you're saying, providing the people and the situations that would lead to the progress of the center and the establishment of Islam. You could not, have you been working in the center all those years, you couldn't miss that feeling. One way or another, some overall direction was guiding the thing, alhamdulillah.
If I may interrupt here, one evening we were talking that there was no money in the Islamic Center budget. And I remember that almost both of us were almost in tears. The second day, a lady called me on the phone and she said, I'm coming to the Islamic Center today, and I went on a Friday prayer and I met her there, and that lady asked me, would you write me a check? She gave me her checkbook and she said, would you write me, I can't write in English, would you write me a check for $30,000? And my hand was shivering from the news, and I was crying. And even I wrote the check to the extent I went even to sign her checkbook. I was overwhelmed that it's God who's providing this. Nobody's doing anything. It's God who's putting the footsteps, and we are just movers. Alhamdulillah, it's in our lifetime. This is a great accomplishment.
Lucky to be participating, no doubt about it.
We are lucky to be participating.
Yeah. Center had clear vision about 4 priorities that since then really guided its footsteps. Number 1, it was to establish Islam. Number 2, to expand or extend Islam on horizontal level to the society and on the vertical dimension to the new generation. Number 3 was to offer services to Muslims. And number 4 was to get involved in the American society, to be part of the American pluralism.
Even though there are no adult classes, there are so many different activities in which each adult can involve himself, that there doesn't seem to be enough time to be able to get involved in everything that you want to get involved in. So that is a big change that I feel from maybe the St. Andrew's Place Mosque to this mosque.
The Women's Association is there to provide spiritual growth, educational opportunities, and social support.
Every time we went broke, we went to the ladies' auxiliary and raided their treasury. So they always had more money than we did.
The thing is that at the Islamic Center, men and women are not separated as much. So it is hard to say that this activity was a Women's Association activity, because ladies do participate in all the activities. Our most precious element in the Islamic Center is not the fundraising, it's not the celebration as much as the human element. We are the members, the bodies, and I think that's what it's important. It's the people who come to the center, and I think those mothers who bring their children are the ones that are to be commended for their effort, and may God accept it.
The new generation is more important than our generation. This can be expressed in the care for the New Horizon, but more so also was to care for the youth.
The youth group takes children or kids at a critical point in their lives, and it gives them a structure, and it gives them the knowledge of Islam and the friends that they need to develop for the rest of their lives.
I think to me also the friendship that I gained through the youth group was very important. Finding people who are also believing the same things that I do and would like to achieve the same goals that I do in life. And it's a very good support system for me.
I remember vividly that my father and mother were very demanding that we go to the youth group when we were young, and me and my sister would do all things possible to avoid going. We'd sit in bed and just pretend like we were sleeping so we wouldn't go. But alhamdulillah, they forced us to go, and alhamdulillah, me and my sister got more involved.
It thrills me to, as a matter of fact, I brag about it, that within our youth group we had 21 marriages, members to each other, which I think it is crowning the success of the youth group.
I met what was to be my wife in the youth group. She was the sister of one of my friends in the youth group, and we met early on and eventually got married.
The people who we met in the youth group have really always been our lifelong friends, because they're the ones that we share the same family values with, and that we just trust for life.
Yes, it is a healthy environment, and that's where people meet, with men and women, and they see the person that they want to get married to, and by meeting a lot of people you get to really know in your mind what you want out of the person that you're going to marry, and if that person is there, then you get to choose them out.
We are the Islamic organization, I'm sorry to say, the only one, this is why I'm sorry, that allows the leadership, as a matter of fact, pushes the leadership to the new generation in a very healthy way. It is a delight to see on our board 2 persons from the youth group.
I think the most crucial and critical thing is not necessarily a youth group or a social group or whatever. It's developing a strong Islamic existence in America. And you have to have your Islamic organizations. They have to be organized well. They have to meet the needs of the people. And through that, all the needs of the community gets met, whether it's marriage, whether it's good times or bad times or whatever. The crucial element where everything springs forth from is a strong Islamic existence and strong Islamic institutions.
The idea of the youth group retreat emerged when we felt that we are probably not challenging our youth to the maximum.
I enjoyed the retreat a lot. It was nice, and even though we had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we're all grumpy about that, but this time I felt it brought me closer to God, and because the discussions were nice, most of them, and well, I learned a lot from it.
They were seeing a younger generation that's being prepared to take over the leadership in due time when that leadership is ready to take it over.
The Islamic Center I see as just a central point. It's the center of a wheel, for example. You can see it because it draws so many people of different backgrounds from different areas of just Los Angeles itself. You have people from Irvine coming all the way just to attend 3 hours on Sunday, and that's really, it lets you appreciate of what we have.
Another thing about that's unique about our Islamic Center is that they don't distinguish between different schools of thought. Muslims, there should only be something called a Muslim. There shouldn't be called a Shia. There shouldn't be called a Sunni, etc. And I think that that's one of the best unique aspects of our Islamic Center.
If you go out to other Islamic centers and other mosques around the country, you really see how much of a blessing we have here. There are a number of youth groups which are deteriorating very quickly, and I've gone to some of them and I've seen them, and this is what I want to take from this Islamic center and go bring the ideology and what I've learned and spread it over to the other mosques, which I think seriously need it.
When we come to the youth group, we see other people like us, and they're facing the same things that we face every day, and for me, it makes me a lot more secure, makes me feel a lot better about myself, and makes me feel stronger, and I'm proud to be a Muslim.
We have to be careful that we never forget our youth, because if we do, then what's our future? That's one thing we have to keep in mind. We have to make sure that our present youth are dedicated and involved, and our future youth, the younger ones. Never forget the younger ones. Never forget the ones younger than them. Never forget the unborn ones. I mean, that's what we have to worry about.
I see the future of Islam in our kids. And when they start to participate in the prayer from that age, we feel that, inshallah, they will be participating in making Islam spread with a better idea in the American society.
As a special plea for our Muslim brethren anywhere in the United States of America, it is my feeling that the era of building mosques is over, and it should be replaced by the era of building schools. You can use a room from a school on Friday or in the weekends to function like a mosque and an Islamic center. But the priority should be given to the future of the children.
New Horizon is the preschool, and by locating it at the Islamic Center, we could provide the families who live around the Islamic Center with the preschooling and first and second and third and fourth grade as of now. We hope that we could open the other one in Pasadena.
I think it is an Islamic responsibility that we should participate in the political process in America. There is a political system here, and there is a democracy. In view of the laws of the land that prohibits religious organizations from doing political practices, it was necessary to have a body to carry on that political responsibility, to educate Muslims about their electoral rights, to educate politicians about Muslims' concerns and aspirations, and this is, in a nutshell, what MPAC is all about.
We'd like to see a Muslim run for the Congress in the near future, and someone who would not just be a Muslim, but someone who really represents Islam in America. Finding that person who represents Christians, Muslims, and Jews, and the rest of Americans in our society, and letting Americans know that Muslims are here to contribute for the betterment of humanity and for the betterment of American society.
As far as IIS, which is the Islamic Information System, this is a system which is designed to provide a TV facility and a print facility, which is the Minaret, the news magazine, throughout the United States and the Muslim world. As far as the Minaret quality, as you can see it, has improved tremendously. I know that you talked to Salim Shah, and he told you how he started his newsletter.
I would sit down at the Jummah khutbah, and on Fridays take down as fast as I could the khutbah given on Friday, go back to my office that afternoon and type it out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet and give it to my office printer, and then Monday morning we'd have a package ready to mail to the membership list. Youth groups started to participate in this publishing the Minaret, and alhamdulillah, we have one of the leading magazines of the Islamic world today in the minaret.
And Sister Aida Nazif Murad has done a tremendous job under the leadership of a number of people in our community, and I'm very, very thankful to Allah for what has happened.
The one contribution that I can see that IIS has done for Islam in America is that it, through television being shown through the nation, has been able to bring to the Muslims of America a progressive ideology, which I think is needed and is lacking in the Muslim community overall in America.
We feel very happy and at home, and I believe that religious activity, Islamic activity in US and America is far more than what we have at our home.
I pray to Allah that the center will accomplish its goals, which is the establishment of an Islamic presence in the United States for the good of the United States public and for the good of the Muslims.
I like to see more Islam to be spread in the United States. I like to see more Muslims becoming active in the community. It's not only to come and pray and leave. I want more participation.
Lately, I've come to see that people identify in the center with themselves as a certain identity. And since Islam is a way of life, in a way, if you lose the center, then you're losing part of yourself. And it really touches me when I think that people want to give to the center or to become more involved, because you're not just helping the center, you're helping yourself and you're helping other Muslims.
The most important thing that we have to be looking for is our new generation. And from that point of view, the hub of the activity is to be center that we preserve our youths well.
I think we are living in a very special time, not just in our lives, but I'd say in history, and in the history of Islam in general, and in the history of the United States. And that particular time is the time that Islam is being established in the United States. I think we are very lucky, very fortunate, very blessed, alhamdulillah, to be participants in this very important stage in history. It might be that in God's plan, it is for Islam to be implanted and be part of the pluralism of America and be an effective part of that, leading to guiding the footsteps of America and hence the whole world to the cause of justice and love.
It is an opportunity given to Muslims to make history, and this doesn't come easy. It takes doing, it takes action, it takes effort, and it takes spending and money, and it takes talents, and we should rally together to get that done, and we'll be accountable for that on the Day of Judgment.
Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill for me and for all the Muslims, to show us right as right and help us to follow it, and show us wrong as wrong and help us to avoid it. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه.
I was just hoping that everybody will never actually take away but always give, and will never demolish but always build, will never criticize but always praise, and will never hate but always love.
And I think we are witnessing the beginning of an institution which is going to bring out more and more institutions, and that is our dream. Today, the future should start by dreaming that we'll have a financial institution, a bank that's going to serve the needs of the community, that will have an educational system which will not only teach the Muslims but as well the non-Muslims, information system, media that's going to bring out something that is outstanding. I mean, as good as a Christian Science Monitor, both newspaper and TV, and so on and so forth. And the dreams go on. And the more people you have, the more you can cluster and polarize to work along these dreams.
It really is to one's benefit to be involved. Islam is the greatest thing going.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول